Gopalji, welcome to Chennai. Thank you for accepting my invitation to come and talk to me about what you've learned in Amanasika Yoga. Thank you very much.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this. It's an honor and a pleasure. And just to give a brief background to listeners and viewers about
Good.
who I am.
Good.
Born, brought up in Chennai. I'm a chartered accountant. Lived outside India since 1992. Have always been interested in spirituality. Not very religious to start with, but because of the upbringing and my exposure, also was interested in religion and in finding a sort of a path to come out of life's issues and life problems. I've been on and off dabbling on so many things. Very interesting that I attended the Amanas Yoga retreats. It has really helped me in many ways in life. It has given me a lot of clarity in so many aspects. And I'm very grateful for that, grateful to you for guiding me through various things. And when you asked me if I can participate in this podcast, especially to talk about a topic which I think it's something which affects everybody in their day-to-day life. It is an issue that it bothers people. We've all been conditioned to think about it in a certain way. And that topic is desire and the role of desire in our life. And all religions in the past, if you go back and see it, have labeled it as the source of humanity's problems. There are various teachings which say that desire is to be controlled, desire is to be eliminated from life. The Buddha says that is the root of all problems. So different people have spoken about it differently, but I don't know if that has really solved people's problems. And so today's theme being the role of desire in our life, I think it's a very important topic. And I'm hoping that during the course of this discussion, able to speak about it at length, bring out the doubts that I have. At different points of time, I have thought that I've understood something, only to realize further down the road that maybe that my understanding is not right, and understanding is evolving all the time.
Great.
So I think today's discussions will really look at it. I'm looking at it. One, it may help the general community at large, but I'm looking at it very specifically in the context of my life, and how my understanding of desire is going to flower today. I would say that would be the thrust of where I'm going with.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
In the online course of Amanasika Yoga, there's a specific a few number of lessons dedicated for this. I've printed out those lessons. I've gone through. I made some notes. Please permit me to refer to those notes because I have a lot of questions to ask you.
Yeah, you're absolutely at liberty to go back to the text and come back from there.
Yeah. So I want to start with a question, Guruji. What is desire?
A desire, I think, is one of the primitives in life. Primitives means, let me qualify that term, that if you talk to an atomic scientist or a particle physicist, then there are certain primitives which are like building blocks. And you can't take a hammer and break them into finer pieces. They are almost the ultimate small pieces with which you build a very complex world. So desire is one of the essential vibrations in life, part of what it means to be human. I am hungry, I want to eat. And I feel dirty, I want to take a bath. and I feel attracted to a girl, I want to have sex with her. Now, this is the human condition, and humanity can never get away from this. So, it is what man is. And so, man has to, whether he likes it or not, irrespective of the teaching that has come to him from various religions, he has to always navigate in the waters of desire. And desire is fundamental. It's as fundamental as breath is fundamental to us, as every other kind of thinking is fundamental to us. Desire is so fundamental. It's I want this, I desire this, and I want to possess this. I want to become wealthy in life. All our desires. I don't want to be poor. I want to be wealthy. I want to live in a good house, and I want to be first in my class. So this is the human condition, and it's the way the nervous system works. The brain is working, and first of all, you look at apples or mangoes in a basket, and then you remember the fragrance of particular mango, banganipalli or something, and then immediately there is a desire to eat one. And so your hand inadvertently goes to one of those ripe yellow mangoes and you want to grab it. That's the human condition. And that's the way the nervous system works. That's the way the brain works. That's the way the body works, because desire is necessary for the body to continue to have its limited existence. It may last for 90 years or 80 years or 100 years, whatever it is. It wants food. Then the self wants recognition, and then you want other people to be good to you and other people to praise you and all that kind of thing. So in hundreds of ways, there is a vibration in the brain, in the nervous system, and in the mind, giving the body various kinds of temptations and asking it to go behind that. That's desire.
Now, there is a conflict about desire, which I want to state here, because on one side we have the set of teachings, whether it is religious or even in families, talking about you can't go after desire for everything. You have to control it. It's something which is drummed into us as, I think it's in Indian society itself,
Right.
Where right from childhood we are taught, or we are told, not taught, we are told that it's not good to have desires for everything. Adhigama asapadada, those kind of things. That is one side. On the other side, if you see the whole human existence, it is desire that has led to evolution. It is desire that has led to whatever improvements that have happened. In whichever field we talk about, whether we talk about medicine, to find a cure for something is a desire.
Right.
In transportation, you want to, aeroplane was a desire of some man to fly, and that's how it came about. So there are a lot of good things that have come about. So to label everything with one label saying that it is bad, and at the same, and that goes against the essential nature of human beings today.
Absolutely.
Is creating a conflict. And I think whether people consciously talk about it or not, all the time we are battling about with this inside us.
Definitely.
So the next part of my question is, how does desire arise? Because we don't desire everything that we see. If I'm walking on the road, there are some things I see and I don't even pay attention to it. And that doesn't evoke anything. And there are some other things which immediately grab my attention, and then there is a desire to possess it or to want it. What makes the difference? Why is it?
That is very simple and straightforward. There is memory of pleasure, and there is also memory of pain. Pain you want to avoid, and pleasure you want to repeat, because it's a very nice feeling for the self. The self's fundamental nature, primitive nature, to go back to the term that I used, primordial nature, is ananda, or bliss. So in this earthly sojourn, that primordial awareness willy-nilly got associated with the human body, which is very complex. And then all that it is actually looking for is a semblance of its true nature, which is Ananda. But in this earthly life, there is a timeless Ananda is not available. So what do you settle for? Not unable to lay your hands on a timeless Ananda, which is your essential nature, who you are. Now you want some tidbits of that. You want some imitation jewelry of that. You want some semblance of that. So in Tamil they say Perinbam and Citrinbam. They say that. The Perinbam is the big Ananda, Brahmananda. And then this is the Ananda that the Jivatma wants, that the little self wants. For a time, you are self-forgetful. And you want that because the self is a menace and the self is pain and the self is endless conflict and endless desire. So you want to be free from that nuisance, at least for a short while. So when you are given the enjoyment of a sense object, the enjoyment, so as long as that enjoyment is lasting, which may be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, a meal in a hotel, half an hour, 30 minutes, a good conversation with a friend, 1 hour, 2 hours, during that tenure, the cacophony of the self and the self-contradictory mess in which the self finds itself, you're free of that. You're completely free of that. And which means what? Once you're free of that, you're in a natural state of beatitude. And you feel very good. So, because all these indulgences, if I may use that term, give you, throw you back onto your primordial nature, which is Ananda. Therefore, these things you think are the givers of that Ananda. So that Ananda is who you are and what you want. Nothing else you want.
Okay. And so then why is it that the religions have condemned
Very good question. We need to go slowly into this. So go back to the Buddha. And he said religion is desire is the begetter of sorrow. That's what he
Yes.
said. Now, this is so let's write that statement of the Buddha on a paper, that desire is the begetter of sorrow. Therefore, for the ending of sorrow in your life, so desire must be ended. I think it is true what he said, but there is a season of life where desires are natural and in which domain they have to be sanctified and licensed, because that is what it means to be human. That is what it means to have a self. That is what it means to have a body. And the senses are not created by you and me. It's the handiwork of the divine. And the senses give delight, beautiful music and beautiful mountains and rushing waters. They give satisfaction and the silencing of the self. So we are thrown back into that Ananda. That's why we love the mountains, we love the rivers, we love good food, we love sex and all of that. And so there is a place in life, in the human canvas. There is a domain, there is a place where desire is very natural, where we should not ring a bell and should not say in that particular domain that desires ought to be ended. That would be a lack of wisdom. But then, as you start going very deep into life and you find that your certain misfortunes have befallen you and you're in huge amount of sorrow, then begins a completely different inquiry to which you have been a foreigner and a stranger for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And in that inquiry, you are inquiring into the whole nature of the human existence and what is the real purpose of being human and what happens after death and all those impossible questions. You begin a whole new inquiry. Now that inquiry, the Hindus called it dharma and moksha, the higher tier of what it means to be human. In the lower tier, we dare not tamper with desire. We dare not place a moratorium on desire because that would be unwise, because desire is the essential nature of what it means to be a creature, what it means to have a body, what it means to have a self. So there it's sanctified. We won't touch it there. But then as you mature in life, spiritually mature and chronologically mature in terms of your age and so on, then you find that you have to re-examine the role of desire, the place of desire. So maybe we come to a station in life after 60, after 70, after 80. Or for many people, this may happen at 30, this may happen at 40. The re-examination of the foundations of desire, you re-examine. And then you find that if you're asking for that big infinite ananda, you may ask for it, you may not ask for it, depending on your divine architecture. But if you want to ask for the big ananda in life, that comes only when the cacophony of the self is shut down. And that means also shutting down the entire machinery of desire. You've got to shut the whole thing down. And that may happen by itself for some people, but for some people out of sadhana, a semblance of that may happen. But that is what we can call tier 2, dharma and moksha. And if you're going to talk about this on a television, in a television screen before young people who are all inspired and jolted by desire, and it's going to be completely out of context, and they're going to spew venom at you and run away. So we dare not do that. But there is a place and a time for this, and there the re-examination of desire and the possible ending of the desire, or the discovery of an entirely different manner in which you approach desire, you yield to desire, and you master desire. That's a take for people who are maturing on the trajectory of life.
So we are talking about in that phase, not controlling desire, not trying to manage desire, or not trying to direct desire in a certain way, but to understand desire. Is that how?
That is right. You could say that desire, which was considered to be like breathing, let's say, breathing is very normal for you, right? So,
Yes.
so you're not going to entertain the ridiculous idea that you will have to stop breathing. It's an often happening thing. It happens continuously from birth till death. So why should you seal something which is life-giving and which gives the kick in life? So you're not going to tamper with that. But it so happens that in the second tier, what was very natural in the first tier may be found to be very problematic in a later examination in tier 2, when you've been hit by enormous misfortunes. In the re-examination, you may find that in the farther reaches of what it means to be human, then there may be individuals and people and life circumstances when desire, by ending desire, the good and auspicious things happen. It's not the snuffing out of life itself. No. Something very auspicious happens. And that is for whom? That is for people, the spiritual pilgrims, who have gone very deep into life and whose life circumstances actually put them on a road of deeper inquiry, deeper understanding of is desire really troublesome in some area? Do we have to revise our understanding of desire? Do we have to redefine our evaluation and appreciation of desire? All that. So when we do that, then we find that the Buddha is vindicated.
Okay. I want to draw upon the first lesson in this Manaska Yoga sessions, where Krishnaji seems to be giving us a certain insight, or rather pointing us in a certain direction about how desires arise. Can I request you to talk about that, Guruji, about because Krishnaji says that first there's perception and then there's sensation.
Right.
So can you elaborate a bit on that?
That is a standard thing which is happening day in and day out, Gopalji, to all of us, to you and to me and to billions of people. The mechanism of desire. First of all, we have got to understand that we are a body at one level, we happen to have an almost unbreakable association with a body, which appears to be a miraculous blessing when you look at it critically, and then which appears to be horribly burdensome when you look at it with different eye, with different
Yes.
eyes. So it's a self-contradictory thing.
Yes.
So because the body is there, and we don't see it as an encumbrance, and it is, as I said, for the youth of mankind, it's a blessing, obviously, and for you and me still. Though we are getting older by the day, we don't find it to be an encumbrance, right? Because we are in middle ground, we are living life on the middle path, so we are not become so aberrant that we are in good balance, and we are still astonished at the miracle of the body. So we are wondering about the miracle of the body. And I tell my wife that you're a doctor, and I say that all doctors should get enlightenment just by studying the body. And the body is probably the greatest miracle we have got. And that's who we are at a certain level. And we've got to pay tremendous attention to that body, the way it is functioning, how it's been designed, how it's been structured. And but we seem to have lost that wonderment. We don't have that sense of wonder, sense of amazement. And so the body is there, then the senses are there. The senses. Now, the senses means a pair of cameras, the eyes, then a pair of mics, the ears, and finger touch, and so on. And so with these instruments of the jnanendriyas, as they're called, you get knowledge from them, the eyes, the ears, the sense of touch, the tongue, and so on. You come into contact with an amazingly beautiful universe. Amazingly, absolutely beautiful. And God knows why they're calling it earth. Actually, this is heaven. If we can be a little silent, I think the heaven is here, not somewhere up in the clouds. And so you make contact with the thing, and then there is a triggering of a certain wave in the nervous system, in the brain, and you say, I want it. I want it, which means what? You want an experience. You want to taste that mango. You want to taste that mango. You want to touch a girl, if you're a young man, and there is too much of the sensual energy is strong in you, then your friend narrates to you that he went to Brazil, and you say, I want to go to Brazil. So it arises from the senses, and then by association and memory in the brain. And then you want a repetition of that pleasure. You had a pleasure drinking coffee, and the coffee was very good. And you want again that same coffee next day morning, 6 o'clock. You want that coffee, a repetition of that pleasure. And you want that experience, you want that delight. Why so? Because of that experience, you're thrown back on your primordial nature, which is Ananda. So the experience is a facilitator for you to go back home, howsoever temporary it may be. That's why it's so delightful. You say, I went to Jim Corbett's park in the Himalayas. I went to Kedarnath. I went to Badrinath. And my God, I was in heaven. You say that. Why? Because the experience was so overwhelming, was so powerful that the madness of the self was shut down for 15 minutes, for 15 days. And then, so what happens when you shut it down? When you shut it down, you are in your natural state. What's that? That is bliss. So that's why you want it. That's why you want to go on holidays. That's why you want to play games. Because when you play football or cricket, the self is not there. You get freedom from the self. As long as the self is there, then chaos and disorder are in consciousness. Then self is very much there, with the sharp difference that I am different from you, I'm better than you, I'm stronger than you, I'm wealthier than you, all of that madness. And so when you get into sports, or when you jump into a swimming pool, or when you go to Kedarnath and Badrinath, my God, you're free of that monster, though for a short while. So you want it.
So here I want to come to a I don't know whether to term it as a conflict or a fundamental difference in my understanding. So at a certain point, when I was going through all this about desires and thinking about it, the understanding at that point was desire is nothing but the hunger of the self for something,
For enjoyment.
to satiate itself. But then desire arises irrespective of whether there's a self or not. Is it not true?
The self, the desire arises, and
The self is making use of it.
you can say that the self becomes a player in that flurry. So desire is not a single ray and a single moment. It's a flurry and a flux. And more often than not, if you're a sthita prajna, then you look at a yellow mango which is giving a very strong fragrance of Imam Pasand, and your memories are triggered. So you want to have that enjoyment again. But you may not go and touch that mango. You're just watching the whole thing pan out. But if you are, if you don't have so much of detachment from your desire, from the play of the desire, then you are in the flow of the desire itself. Then you say, no, I can't wait. I have to eat it. That's what you say. And what's wrong in eating it? And I was wondering, 2 days ago, I was eating Imam Pasand, and somebody sent me a basket of Imam Pasand. You may know that person. And he's a very kind soul. Every year he's sending me a basket of these beautiful mangoes and the fragrance of it, the lovely fragrance of it. And immediately my consciousness flew to the divine. I said, what have you done? These fruits. And still man is not thinking of you. He's only in his own stupidity and his vanity. He's not going back to the maker. Who made these mangoes? And obviously you made them for the delight of your children. But your children are not thinking of you when they eat this mango. Isn't it very sad? I think it's tremendously sad that you don't think of the maker when you're enjoying these delicious fruits. And so the flurry comes. In that flurry, if you're a sthita prajna, then the self won't be there. But if you're not a sthita prajna, you're not so fortunate that the cacophony in consciousness has subsided. So the self also comes along with one of the concomitants of the desire. It's like think of a minister or a king. He's coming with his entourage. Okay, he's got 3-4. He's got 3 security guards. He's got a deputy minister. He's got a secretary, and then he's got this monster of a self which comes in that entourage. So in the desire, it's like an entourage coming, and the king is the desire. But this wretched fellow also comes along with that, and he wants to grab the whole thing. And well, I think it's not too bad. He's entitled to that grabbing. And the problem arises when the grabbing is checkmated by nature, checkmated by your own fate, and it is not permitted. And instead of fulfillment, you have frustration. Then the self starts screaming.
So the fulfillment and frustration are two sides of the same coin, is it not?
Yeah, they form.
They go hand in hand.
They canonically conjugate pair, as theoretical physics we say, the wave-particle duality, and they come together. And sometimes fulfillment will come, and when fulfillment is absent, then frustration will come. So, but now you can keep both at bay. You don't want both. Having seen enough of life, a time may come when you may say goodbye to both. Why? Why are you so generous? You want to say goodbye to both? Because by saying goodbye to both, you have the opportunity to go back home to your throne of a profound inner wellness and ananda. And when you get the next strong call, you'll get up from the seat of the throne and you'll walk into creation and grab a mango and eat it. But when the call is not strong, why get up from your throne? It's already beautiful. Don't you find it to be true?
No, very profound. but I want to talk about one step before that.
Okay.
And the one step before that is in day-to-day life. And I'm sure it is true for me, and it's true for most of humanity, is that I'm looking at the combination of the fulfillment and frustration. The effort of humanity seems to be, I want to enjoy the fulfillment and somehow
Be free.
be free of the frustration. Somehow. Because I think that is where all the efforts are going.
Yeah.
Futile
efforts.
Yeah. So when I think about it, and I'm laughing to myself as I was going through all this. One, you grow up with the conditioning saying that desire is bad, and you should control desire. And on the other side, as we are growing up in life, there are desires just flooding in our life, and then we are so devious to think that let me do things which will help me to grab only what I feel is very enriching for me, fulfilling for me, and somehow keep the pain away. But that doesn't happen, and life keeps frustrating you.
Yeah.
Life keeps frustrating you, and
It's a total package. If you want one, you've got to take the other as well. There's an upside and a downside, and the pleasure and the pain. So when you get it, there is immense pleasure, satisfaction. Because for a moment, even though it not be for long enough periods, for the time being, that enjoyment gives you freedom from the self. It gives you freedom. And that freedom is what is more delicious than the delicious Imam Pasand. But if you are addicted to, let us say, that fulfillment, sensory gratification, you're addicted to that, then you think God in his great wisdom is going to give you everlasting fulfillment. He's not made like that. So the other half of the story, not mentioned very often, is that frustration is part of that story. And that will also come along.
And you're bound to face that.
Bound to face
when
that.
When you taste this,
yeah, definitely.
it's like you're taking a bite.
Yeah.
The bite of the whole. You can't
right. It's dualistic.
Yeah.
It comes to the downside.
Guruji, I just want to refer back to these two gentlemen who are having a talk with Krishnaji. And I just want to read out some part of it.
Please.
It talks about desire and the object of desire. Krishnaji says, now is there desire? If there's no object of desire, that's the question he asks them. Are desire and its object inseparable? Do I know desire only because of the object? Let us find out. So I want to take this journey along with you. I want to ask this question. Is there desire if there's no object of desire? And are the object and the desire inseparable? And do I know the desire only because of the object? Is there a way to find out?
Yeah, the pursuit of the object is the desire. The pursuit. Now, it can be, the object can be in physical time space, like this, like a mango, yellow colored mango in the summer season. Or it can be a mental projection. And you had a good time with half a dozen mangoes. And but then when the mango is not available, you mentally project a yellow mango with lovely fragrance and the juicy thing. And you mentally project it and you mentally pursue it. And the fulfillment is in the pursuit, the conquest, and the enjoyment. The pursuit, the conquest, the enjoyment, and all for what? And all for what? The enjoyment is not an end in itself. There's a very, very subtle thing which is just behind the enjoyment, not mentioned anywhere in the literature. And that is because in that enjoyment, that sweetness of the mango and the particular taste of that mango, it triggers the beatific nature of yourself. It's a trigger. So because it's a very particular kind of trigger, and the fruit is necessary to trigger it. Without the fruit, it won't be triggered.
So what you're saying is, if I understand it right, the object and the fulfillment of possessing that object, that is not what is causing the fulfillment. It is something inside which
No, that is that object is necessary for the fulfillment. It's definitely necessary, but you will say that after the fulfillment, if we are watching very carefully, there is contentment which comes after that. There's contentment, but you got to be
Very, very brief.
very brief,
Very brief.
but it is there. And don't you think that contentment is the climax, is the climactic
Yeah.
experience, just a few inches above that enjoyment?
Yes.
That's it. And that in that contentment, you touch who you are. Not in the eating itself. The eating is good in itself. It's very delicious, and you can't say no to that. That's part of being human. And the Maker made these fruits in his infinite love for these creatures. He made these fruits, and for enjoyment. So he wants you to have all of that, but he doesn't want you to stop there. He wants you to think of him, okay, in a Puranic vein. He wants you to go further and think. I mean, just think about the mangoes and all the lovely things of planet Earth. Planet Earth is a mystery. The body is a mystery. Nobody seems to be going near that. Why? Because the mind is overcrowded. It's talking all the time. It is in cacophony. When the whole thing is silent, then the mystery will hit us. And so behind that enjoyment, there is that final thing of calmness.
And once you experience that little sliver of calmness, then you want to possess it. You want to hold on to it. You want to be.
You want repetition.
You want to repeat the same experience.
Yeah.
And you think that experience, you got it because you did something, and then you try to repeat the activity.
And you won't get it, but.
Not realizing that it's not the activity that gave you that.
Yeah. In the very nature of life, is transitory. The very nature of life by its very nature is fragile. And the Buddha said it in those classical things, anitya, 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 impermanent, impermanent, impermanent. What is impermanent? What you enjoy today, you cannot enjoy tomorrow. That's the great lesson. That's the final understanding. What you enjoy today, you cannot enjoy tomorrow. What you possess today, you cannot possess tomorrow. And we have to get it by an insight. Now, we will get it if we are actually inquiring into it and we are serious. Most surely we'll get it.
We are coming to the end of this first lesson because whatever points I made. Again, at every stage, Guruji, whatever is my understanding, I'm trying to note it down because an understanding keeps changing. But
Right.
but at this stage, essentially, every human being has some basic needs, whether it's hunger, sleep, you feel thirst, cold.
Yeah.
And these are sensations in the body.
Of course.
And these sensations leads to us wanting to fulfill these needs.
Yeah.
If it's hunger, you want to eat something.
Yeah.
I think up till here, we are okay. But what happens is then we start putting adjectives to, if I'm hungry, instead of looking for food, I want this kind of food. I'm trying to remember something in the past which I might have enjoyed. And I want to get that. Or if I'm thirsty, then, I want this kind of a drink with these qualities. It should be sweet. It should have this flavor. So we go on adding adjectives to and flowering up or decorating whatever is the basic need that we have.
Right.
Does this flower into a bigger desire? And
that's what is happening to man, because from a small seed, the desires kind of start proliferating. They start branching out. Now, I know a lot of people who are in the affluent class, even Indians, I'm talking about Indians, and they went to Egypt and they saw the pyramids. It was quite an overwhelming experience. They are not so fascinated that they come back and get into Egyptology. They're not, they don't have penetrating minds, no. But the experience itself is very overwhelming in the Egyptian pyramids. So now after that, you become dead to it. Then now you want to go to China. And then you want to go to Galapagos Islands after that on the west coast of Chile. And do you really enjoy it? I think not. I'm very sorry, I'm giving a negative verdict, because to enjoy that, the mind must be completely still. Only a yogi can enjoy those things. For you, then what kind of an enjoyment do you have? You have a shallow sensory delight. The pyramid has to get into you, you have to get into the pyramid, which means you must be completely still. It has to be a meditative experience. But you're not there. You're living in shallow waters. So, and perpetually you're seeking shallow experiences. And therefore, you miss out on the real intensity of being human, on the beauty of Mother Earth. You completely miss out on that. And not to speak about the Maker, because you have no awareness of the Maker at all. You're so dull. Now, is that a good thing? I think it's very sad that human beings are like this. That even when they're old, they're 70 years old, they're 80 years old, not a single thought of the Maker comes to them.
I'm referring back to a comment made by one of the people, which I think reflects the thoughts of most common people. He's talking to Krishnaji, and he says, it is difficult to think of the I as merely the result of a certain physio-psychological process. For this sounds very materialistic.
Right.
And it goes against our tradition, all our habits of thought, which say that the I, the watcher, is there first, and not that he has been put together. But in spite of tradition and the sacred books and my own wavering inclination to believe them, I see what you say to be a fact. I think here he is mentioning the I that this man is referring to is the self, whereas the I that Krishnaji is referring to is actually the beyond, what Krishnaji says as the beyond. Because Krishnaji then says it's not what others may say that makes for perception of a fact, but your own direct observation and clarity of thinking. Isn't that so? So then they go on to have a further discussion. And the taller man says, desire is always there, sometimes burning furiously and sometimes dormant, but ready to spring to life. And the problem is, what's one to do with it? When desire is dormant, my whole being is fairly quiet. But when it's awake, I'm very disturbed. I become restless, feverishly active, till that particular desire is satisfied. I then become relatively calm, only to have desire begin all over again, perhaps with a different object. It's like water under pressure, and however high you build the dam, it is forever seeping through the cracks, going around the end or spilling over the top. I have all but tortured myself, trying to go beyond desire, but at the end of my best efforts, desire is still there, smiling or frowning. How am I to be free of it?
You see, the free of it, I remember this conversation. I loved it. It's one of the masterpieces in commentaries on living, where the master completely gives himself to these two seekers because they're so genuine. And it's not a question of how am I to be free of it. You have to understand what is desire, what is thought, and what is the place of thought, and what is the place of desire in man's condition. Now, these are very big questions. Now, I would say that if you want to embark on this investigative journey, inner pilgrimage, of what is thought and what is desire, then you must typically go to an ashram where a good teacher, he will put you through the course like the Amanaska Yoga course, which I put out into the world. And you have to start discovering rather than believing hundreds of traditional teachers, hundreds of traditional texts. They can say whatever they like. But what is the use of all of that if those haloed traditional texts actually do not facilitate first-hand discovery on your part? The discovery is the most important thing, right? So you have to actually discover it. And to discover it, you have to prioritize it in your life. Somebody is a chartered accountant like you, not just an ordinary chartered accountant with a practice, but in very responsible position in the corporate sector, very big in a financial empire. Or somebody may be a lawyer working in a lawyer's financial empire, or somebody may be in the government bureaucracy, a tower of bureaucracy and all of that, or a similar doctor. Now, usually, man's condition is such that once he gets into one of these professional empires, then his fate is sealed. He can't get out. He is a slave of the system, and he cannot prioritize this learning. This learning will start yielding fruits only if you prioritize it. What do I mean by that? That means you have to give it the first place in life, not your profession, not being a doctor, not being a lawyer, not being a financial advisor to a corporate giant. No, you've got to give this priority, which means what? At least temporarily, like Varkirti was enlisted, he went into the army for 2 years. So similarly, you have to become a mumukshu for 2 years or 3 years. And then you get the whole thing. It becomes your self-discovered treasure. For 2-3 years, just like Varkirti going to the army. He went to the Singapore army where he was enlisted, and that's part of being a citizen of some country, whether it's Singapore or America, it's a different thing, but complete attention those 2-3 years. And then you'll discover everything. Then you'll speak like Krishnamurti. And you may say something contrary to him also. Because there are different ways of looking at reality. And so then you'll understand what is thought and what is desire. Because you discovered it. You didn't believe it. You didn't believe some cock and bull story told to you by some Purana, by some guru. No. You made a first-hand discovery. How were you able to do it? Because you sacrificed your material progress for the sake of the truth. Now, that's an opportunity that comes to many people. It may come when you're 30 years old. It may come when you're 40. It may come when you're 70. An opportunity will come where life snuffs you out. Life will freeze your materialistic activity. Now, that's a time you've got to sense that it's a time for doing something else. Not run behind the pursuits which attracted you for 60, 70 years. Something else. And you got to be very sensitive to how life is calling you. Sometimes life calls you into the arena of enjoyment, into the arena of fulfillment. Sometimes life calls you into the arena of frustration and death. You've got to walk into it. That's not necessarily bad. It may be a tunnel into something marvelous. And then you discover the whole thing. And then you live your life magnificently, originally. You are alone to yourself. Everything is discovered. Nothing is believed. And then you know that this desire which Krishnaji is talking about and these two seekers they're talking about, that's actually so mysterious and so flimsy, the desire, and so subtle and so invisible because it's just a vibration in the brain. Yet it enslaves us completely. It is the handiwork of Adi Shakti. What the traditionalists, the Hindu traditionalists, and the Chinese, it's the Chinese dragon. It's Adi Shakti. It's an immense power. But the beat of desire in my brain and in my emotions, which I felt, it is just a minuscule flutter of the Chinese dragon, minuscule flutter of the dance of Adishakti is impacting on my life. She gives all these desires. She is the divine. And you've got to understand the whole thing, the beauty of it, and the mesmeric nature of it. And they called it Maya. They called it Maya. And you can't escape Maya fully. Half your life, you must surrender to Maya. Half your life, you must withdraw from Maya. There's a time for it. You can't withdraw whenever you like. First, you surrender and you become a completely worldly person. It's not your intention, it's the intention of the divine itself. So there's nothing wrong with it. You're sanctified. But then there's a time for something else, a time for understanding Krishnamurti, for understanding the depth and beauty of the tradition, the traditional teaching. And then you've got to give time for that.
So what you're saying is desire is natural and it has got a certain
Place.
in life.
Yes.
The issue for humanity currently, as I see it,
Right.
is that we don't understand its place.
Exactly.
And all the time we are battling with it.
Exactly.
Either battling to achieve something or to control it or to have it dissipated from our life in some way.
Yeah, that's just that is a make-believe wish.
Yeah. and if the desire, if I feel the object of the desire is within my reach, then I reach for it.
Right.
If it is way beyond my reach, then I concoct my own theory of why that is not good for me.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, if I go and see something and I know that I can't afford it, then I put a label of no, it's not good to have those things in life. We have to be simple living, high thinking. These kind of statements I will make to justify that. But if I feel it's just within my grasp, then I.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how humanity is sleepwalking through all this and not looking at it, Guruji.
Self-hypnosis is part of Maya. It's not that you are doing it very diabolically. I'm not saying that. No. So it's in the very nature of the human life drama that you are mesmerized. You're mesmerized by desire. You're mesmerized by 100 dazzling sensory delights. You're mesmerized. And the default setting is you will surrender to the whole thing. And surrender, no harm. No harm. Surrender, enjoy it. Okay, that's tier 1. Tier 2 is wholly different. It's entirely different. Okay, and we don't know when the bell for tier 2 will ring. It may ring at any time. Now, I give you something to think about. Now think that now you are at the peak of your professional ascent and you've got a mountain of a responsibility as the architect and the conservator of a financial business empire. You can't just get up from your chair and walk away. That's not possible. But a time might come in your life. Do you see a time coming in your life? Can you envision a time coming in your life when you become a mumukshu, when you're embarked on the quest for the eternal truth, and you don't have the agony and the worry which most human beings have regarding savings and bread and butter? You've got enough stockpile for a rainy day, so that's not even your concern. But you've had all the jolly good things in life, and then you come to a point of satiety and a point of fulfillment, and you're really asking, because the question itself is coming from the divine, what the hell is all this life about? I want to get beyond it. And you mean it, you meant it. Now, don't you think from that point onwards, you're a mumukshu?
Yes.
And you don't have to go to the office every morning? So you're on a journey? You'll find out. Such a person will find out. When he gives his all, when he's prepared to die for it, when he's prepared to sacrifice himself for this truth, he will get it all, like Krishnamurti. So Krishnamurti's whole teaching as a Jagat Guru, as a world teacher, is to push you into this adventure. Not today, not tomorrow. There's a time for it. And you've got to be alert that a time will come in every man's life, in every woman's life, when voluntarily he and she will have to embark on it, knowing that it is a summum bonum of life. And without that, your life is pretty worthless. With all your wealth, with all your glory, with all your accolades, with all the social high reputation and everything, it's hollow. Only this gives it that gravity. This gives it that fullness. And you're lucky if your life turns upside down so that you're thrown into this adventure. That's the greatest thing which can happen to you. Greatest thing.
Very interesting. Guruji, again, coming back to the subject of desires, because that's the main topic for today. Generally, we classify desires as good desires and bad desires. And we set up ideals. What is the role of ideals in life? And does it really keep us free from suffering? And that is something which I want to examine a bit more in detail today.
They will not insulate you from suffering. See, idealism and pragmatism, these are two different approaches to living the human life and apprehending and coming into contact with reality. So if you're an idealist, let's say, you caught yourself lying this morning, just a chancy example, but you're an idealist, you're a Mahatma Gandhi, you're a Harishchandra, you're Adi Shankara, okay? All these people are great idealists. And so they will immediately examine themselves and they will say, yes, I had to tell a lie. But then they will say, in the future, I will see that I don't tell lies. So they are in self-conflict. And next time I'll control myself. I will see that I don't fall into that trap. So that kind of conflict is set going. And that conflict for an idealist can be fruitful up to a certain point, after which the conflict can become extremely burdensome and he can't do it anymore. The conflict. Then he throws his idealism to the winds and he succumbs to the desire. He becomes a slave of that desire. So idealism is one approach. It will not work for everybody. It will work for the so-called good people, that the Maryada Purushottama Ramachandra, Bhagavan Ramachandra. It will work for him. It will work for Mahatma Gandhi. It will work for all the good guys who have a strong veering to being good in life. But it will not be applicable to the rank and file of humanity who are easy prey to all the Mayaic enticements of Adishakti. Adishakti is perpetually seducing you, perpetually enticing you, perpetually tempting you. That's part of her work, actually. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's one half of being human. And but because of the wrong application of religious teaching in an area where the religious teaching is inapplicable, we have the contradiction.
But Krishnaji seems to be taking the stand that all ideals are divisive, and they try to suppress or control. So is the thrust of his direction that ideals are not, I'm struggling to find the right word. It's not that it's not required in life. Ideals don't serve you.
Yeah, very good question. Yes, you come to one of the important chakras in the Krishnamurti teaching. Krishnaji says it is brutal to have ideals. Now we have to examine it. Why does he say it? That it is brutal to have ideals. Now let's say that I am dishonest. I'm a civil contractor and I receive bribes and I want to become rich or something like that. And but I don't want to examine the fact that I'm dishonest, that I am all the dirty things. But I continuously self-hypnotize myself that what does it matter if I'm dishonest? Tomorrow I'm going to be honest. I'm striving to be honest. So I never, so when I say I'm striving to be honest, I want to be honest. So that is entirely different from marrying the dishonesty, living with the dishonesty, watching the dishonesty 24/7. You have to watch the dishonesty in action. Then you're not an idealist. Then you're a Krishnamurti person because you're watching that reality. What is that reality? That reality is a pattern of dishonesty in a particular human being's life. So the dishonesty is operating 24/7. And either you are a daredevil who has agreed to watch it, or you're a coward who ran away and who concocted the myth of honesty, and you want to run behind that honesty, telling yourself that tomorrow you're going to be honest. So today, what can I do? I am compelled, so I am dishonest. So there is a schism and there's a split between reality and what you're aspiring for. So from Krishnamurti's point of view, the superior solution will be marry the dishonesty, live with the dishonesty, be the dishonest person. Then that dishonesty, which is what is, which is reality, that will start speaking to you, that will start revealing things to you, and you may discover a whole host of things about which you are not aware at all. How you got this way, how you became dishonest, where from it came. Did it come from the past life, or did it come from a single episode in your life? The whole of it. It will start opening up. The flowering of dishonesty will happen. But if you ask me, I will say that some people are idealistic by divine architecture, like Mahatma Gandhi and like Harishchandra and like Rama, Ayodhya Rama. By divine architecture, they are apostles of honesty and apostles of righteousness, like that. Nothing wrong with that. Now, let's say a person who's very, very dishonest, and he's so dishonest that he has no idea what honesty is. But he's a victim of the ideal being planted in him that he should be honest. Now, that person has to start watching the dishonesty, and then he will have the deliverance from the dishonesty. If he becomes very, very intimate with that, choiceless awareness of that what is, which is dishonesty. So then he will have deliverance from that. For him, deliverance will not come by positing the ideal of honesty in front of him. It won't come. So it will be a fruitless sadhana. It will be a sadhana which is conflict begetting, enormously conflict begetting. And he won't understand himself. But when he starts watching the dishonesty for the first time, he will become self-knowing. Inward flowering through self-knowing will happen, which is a totally new paradigm, which Krishnamurti has ushered into the world. Inward flowering through self-knowing, knowing that you're so-and-so, knowing that you can't do anything about it. So you have to surrender to that what is.
So here, what is the condition that we are in currently,
Right.
and the ideals represent what should be.
Right, correct. There is an escape, a getaway from reality. A mythical getaway. A traditionally sanctified getaway. A socially respectable getaway. A religiously honorable getaway. So what's wrong with all of that? It's wrong because it does not give you self-knowing. It blocks self-knowing. So it creates self-deception. And as long as you have conflict, are you free? No. You won't know what is freedom. Only when conflict ends, you have the first page of freedom open to you. Conflict has to end completely. Then you are a free man.
So then, does it not mean that by its very nature, all religions and all traditions, they start with putting conflict in people because they all define what should be?
100% right. Good question. 100% right. Definitely 100% right. That's why I am hammering this 1,000 times that this is a paradigm shift in the religious sphere. It is no less a revolution than the quantum revolution and the theory of relativity revolution in the sciences, the quantum mechanical revolution, the theory of relativity revolution. There's a completely new paradigm in the religious sphere, unheard of. So the religions have not digested it because they're too stubborn, they're too obstinate, because every church father and every guru thinks that he knows everything, which is self-deception, of course. So you have to digest this. This is the latest revolution which has come to planet Earth. So to know yourself, once you embark on that adventure of knowing yourself, go as far as you want to go. See what happens. Everybody is living by ideals. You're 100% right, Gopalji. Everybody is living by ideals and creating huge conflict within themselves. So when you have that conflict, then you won't flower. And you can't accept yourself because though you have the ideal, you know that you're a rogue. You know it too, but not well enough. But you know that the thing is there and you feel bad that I'm a rogue. Yeah. Now, Krishnamurti's medicine, inward flowering through self-knowing, do you know that it will drive away the ghost of guilt that you're a rogue? And it will sanctify you through self-knowing. It will exorcise the ghost of guilt. And that what is will undergo a transformation the moment you stop running away from it, the moment you come back and you marry it. Then that what is undergoes a metamorphosis. It's not for us to do propaganda about that. People must actually experiment with it and see what happens.
I know we've slightly moved away from the main topic of today, but it's a very interesting discussion that's going on. So I want to ask you another question, not related to desire, not related to today's topic, but related to Krishnaji's teachings. Krishnaji talks about thought in the field of time. And I've been listening to his speeches. He talks about if I want to learn a language, then I need time. If I want to do a project, I need time. But that is something which is outside. But for me to be honest or for me to do something, that doesn't require time. That the moment I say I will try to do it later, then that is another desire.
Self-deception, it's postponement, that is you want to postpone the whole event of acknowledging the truth and surrendering to the truth. You want to postpone that. Because why? You can't face that truth. You don't have sufficient maturity to face that truth. Because socially, you are an outcast if you face the truth. Because socially, you're wearing a mask of respectability because of the ideal. The ideal gives you a lovely mask of respectability. Okay, I'm a rogue inwardly, but I wear a very pious mask. I go to all the temples and I get into the satsang with all the respectable gurus. And so people around me, my near and dear and my friends, everybody, think, oh my God, he's very pious. No, he's not. He's a rogue. So the whole of society is based on the self-deception. And it is for everyone to discover what he is. But the point is that when you do discover that and you embrace it very tightly and you be that and you don't move from there, then have we done that experiment? No, I don't think we've done that experiment. Then something happens. And Krishnamurti is not one of those world teachers who's going to dangle a carrot in front of us saying that if you do this, you will get that. Now that's the older religious paradigm. If you do this, you'll get that. Now we are going to take a huge garden scissors and just cut that cord between if you do this, you'll get that. Now that's where the self is living. The self is living. So the self is ever practicing. If I do this, I will get that. And a whole lot of it will keep unfolding.